What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me. What shall I render to Jehovah? He has done so very much for me. Hey. Nara, nara, narikele, narikele mo. Nara, nara, narikele, narikele mo.
Of the University also session, University Librarian Dr. Esther Adeleke, University Bossa, OLUMILUA Apata, Registrar and Secretary President, Mrs. F.A. Adeleke. The inaugural lecturer today, also the Vice Chancellor of the IKERE-EKITI. You know me. OLUYEDE, Aturamu, Vice Chancellor, Chairman of Senate, Board of Chief Executive of the University, the Senior Professor of ADELEKE. On to the 66th, the national anthem and the university anthem. Ladies and captains of industries, family, relations, and friends of the inaugural lecture, friends of the university, esteemed guests, students of the School of Agriculture and Agricultural Technology, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you to today's event. 5 years ago, we started our journey at the university, a journey characterized by remarkable exploits, resilience, and grace. Today is indeed a significant milestone as we hold the fourth inaugural lecture. Finally set the ball rolling. I humbly invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor OLUYEDE for the opening formalities and to introduce the inaugural lecturer. Mr. Vice Chancellor. I would like to welcome everyone to this very important occasion, being the first of its kind in our university. I would like to recognize the presence of important personalities here, a lot of them whose names are able to make. But I can see the former provost of the College of Education, Professor Aturamu. God bless you, man. You're welcome. The representative of the Vice Chancellor
Federal University of Technology, Akure, the Dean of Science, if I'm correct.
You're welcome, sir. I'd like to welcome Mama Aturamu. May God preserve your life, man. May God bless you. We thank God for everything, and we welcome you here. Everybody here knows the person they call Atu. I can see Atu and his wife. You are welcome. You can see professors from other universities. A former member of council from FUTA. You're welcome, sir. Professor Ladumoye. And I'd like to welcome everyone to this occasion while I stand on the protocol as established by the registrar. It is with joy that I welcome all to the very first inaugural lecture of the BAMIDELE OLUMILUA University of Education, Science and Technology, IKERE-EKITI. This is one of the most important celebrations in the university. It enables professors to showcase their intellectual journeys, how they have progressed, contributed to knowledge and society, and what concerns agitate their minds. Today we are privileged to listen to a privileged scholar of note, a professor of agricultural economics, who will be addressing us on harvesting prosperity, the power of sustainable food economics in Nigeria. After harvesting prosperity here today, I really do not expect anybody to come in this country any longer. Professor OLUYEDE, ADELEKE, Aturamu, can you please stand up? I really like that you leave him alone. God bless you, sir. Thank you very much. The inaugural lecturer of today, Professor OLUYEDE, ADELEKE, Aturamu, clocked 59 today. He hails from IKERE-EKITI, Ekiti State, Nigeria, and was born to the family of late Chief Emmanuel Adeleke Aturamu and Deaconess Grace Oluvunke Aturamu, who is seated amongst us here today. He completed his secondary education at Goluji Anglican Grammar School, Ile-Oluji, in 1981, and then attended the Federal School of Science, Ondo, where he bagged his advanced level certificate. Professor Aturamu has an impressive academic background, beginning with a Bachelor of Technology in Animal Production and Health from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, awarded in 1988 with second-class upper honors. He earned the Master of Science degree in Agricultural Economics from the University of in 1991, followed by a postgraduate diploma in Computer Science from the Federal University of Technology, Akure in 1998. In 2004, he completed a postgraduate diploma in education from the University of IKERE-EKITI and a PhD in economics from the Federal of Technology, Akure. In 2006, he became a master trainer and applied scholastics instructor of the Applied Scholastics International in Missouri, USA. Professor Aturamu's career in academics spans decades. He began as an assistant lecturer in agricultural economics at the College of Education, IKERE-EKITI in 1993, and rose through the ranks to become a chief lecturer in 2011, and he served as deputy provost and a member of the management team at the College of Education, IKERE-EKITI for 2 terms from October 2014 to September 2018. He represented the College of Education, IKERE-EKITI at the Office of Transformation, Strategy and Delivery, OTSD, Ekiti State, from February 2019 to 2020. Since 2013, he has been an external examiner for the Department of Agricultural Education at ADELEKE College of Education, Ondo. Professor Aturamu is a Grand Fellow of the International Association of Research Scholars and Administrators, member of Nigerian Economic Society, member American Agricultural Economics Association, member International Agricultural Economics Association, and member Association of Higher Education Professionals. He has held numerous administrative positions within the university. He was the acting dean of the School of Agriculture and Agricultural Technology and the acting dean of the School of Vocational and Entrepreneurial Studies. He was the pioneer director of the Center for Research and Development. He was also a member of the Governing Council of the Federal University of Technology, IKERE, from April 2017 to March 2021. He chaired the FUTA Governing Council's Review Committee on the Scheme of Service and of Administrative and Professional Staff in October 2020. He has also consulted for the World Bank with the Ekiti State Fadama Development Projects. Professor Aturamu is a high-ranking officer of the Rotary International. He was the president of the Rotary Club of IKERE from 2007 to 2008 and served as assistant governor for Rotary International District 9125 from July 2020 to 2023. He is a Paul Harris Fellow. He's married to Mrs. Kendi Aturamu, who is also here today, and the union is blessed with wonderful children. Before I proceed, I'd like to recognize that when our university began, some people assisted us. And one of them is here today. He composed the anthem for the university which we just sang. And that is Sir Shemore Badejo. God bless you. You are welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, may I therefore present to you Professor OLUYEDE ADELEKE Aturamu to deliver the first inaugural lecture of the BAMIDELE OLUMILUA University of Education, Science and Technology, IKERE-EKITI.
It is with great honor and deep sense of responsibility that I stand before you to deliver the very first inaugural lecture of BAMIDELE OLUMILUA University of Education, Science and Technology, IKERE-EKITI. This moment is not just a personal milestone, but a significant academic tradition, one that allows us to share knowledge, provoke thought, and inspire action for the betterment of our society. This inaugural lecture, the first in the history of the Department of Agricultural Science and Technology, School of Agriculture and Agricultural Technology, College of Technology, and indeed the whole university, is not just an account of my research and findings. It is a testimony of how destiny, faith, and hard work shaped my journey. The topic of my lecture, Harvesting Prosperity, the power of sustainable food economics in Nigeria, is both timely and critical. Food is the foundation of life, and its availability, affordability, and sustainability shape the destiny of nations. In a country like Nigeria, where agriculture remains a dominant economic activity, ensuring food security is not just an economic imperative, but a moral obligation. Yet, despite our vast agricultural potentials, millions of Nigerians still struggle with food insecurity, while farmers grapple with challenges ranging from climate change to poor market access. This lecture is more than just an intellectual discourse. It is a compendium of my research work spanning over 3 decades of academic inquiry, field studies, and policy analysis since I began my journey as a lecturer at the defunct College of Education, IKERE-EKITI, and now at BUESTI. Over the years, my research has focused on how sustainable food economics can transform Nigeria's agricultural sector and uplift the livelihood of millions. Today, I have the privilege of sharing the knowledge and insights gained from the lifelong pursuit of teaching and learning. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, it is often said that life takes us where we are meant to be, not always where we plan to go. My journey into academia and agricultural economics was never part of my childhood dreams. If anyone had told me back then that I would one day be standing here as a professor delivering an inaugural lecture, I would have dismissed it outrightly. I wanted to be a medical doctor. That was my dream. My plans were clear, or so I thought. But fate had other ideas. In 1982, I was admitted to the Federal School of Arts and Science for my advanced level GC to study chemistry, biology, and agricultural science. At this point, everything started to change. The change became more evident when I received an unexpected admission offer from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, to study animal production and health in 1983. My mind was set on medicine, but the reality of admission in those days was different. When FUTA came calling, I had to make a tough decision. At first, I thought I would simply try it out and return to Sasson, later to continue my A-levels. In fact, I left most of my belongings, including my books in Ondo. I hope my mom is not listening. Thinking I would go back soon, but I never did, not after I experienced the legendary Sunday meal at FUTA. At FUTA's cafeteria, that's a big chicken and jollof rice for just 50 kobo. That alone was enough to convince me that my new academic home had its own blessings. Eventually, I completed my first degree in animal production and health. However, before the completion of the program, I had already made up my mind that I was not going to stop there. I had developed a growing interest in agricultural economics, and I decided as soon as I was done with my National Youth Service in 1988, I would immediately pursue a master's degree in agricultural economics. Armed with an MSc in agricultural economics, I had lofty ambitions. My dream was to break into the financial sector, preferably landing a role in a merchant bank, or at the very least, at the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The world of finance had a magnetic allure. I pictured myself in crisp, well-tailored suits, exuding confidence, with a sharp pattern in my hair and a briefcase in my hand. To prepare, I enrolled for the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria examinations. Thanks to my academic background, I enjoyed exemptions. From some stages, everything seemed to be aligning perfectly. Then came the rude awakening of Lagos life, the chaos, the constant hustle, the sheer pressure to stay afloat. It was overwhelming. I found myself sharing a cramped room with 3 other young men struggling to navigate the fast-paced grind of the city. Before long, I packed my bags and returned to Ekiti. The dream hadn't died, but the reality had knocked loudly on the door. At that moment, IKERE was just a place to come and hang for some time, for obvious reasons. My uncle was the director of health services of the defunct College of Education, IKERE-EKITI, and hanging around him wasn't a bad idea at all. At least there was some comfort, enjoyment, and little stress, if any. It was through him that I got employed as an assistant lecturer at the defunct College of Education, IKERE-EKITI. That was the moment my journey to becoming a professor began. Through hard work, commitment, and a passion for knowledge, I rose through the ranks and became a chief lecturer in 2011. I was also privileged to serve as deputy provost of the defunct College of Education for 2 terms between 2014 and 2018. These years were instrumental in shaping my leadership skills and deepening my contributions to academia. I was at the verge of moving to a university so that I can become a professor someday. When God used Dr. John Kayode Fayemi, the then governor of Ekiti State, Chief Afolabi Ojuawo, the chairman of the governing council, and Professor Olufemi Victor Adeoluwa, the then provost of the College of Education, IKERE-EKITI, and his team to change the college to a university. What seemed like a setback was actually God's divine arrangement to place me on the right path. When the College of Education was transformed into Boesi, my position was regraded. and I was placed at the rank of senior lecturer. At that moment, I saw 12 years as a chief lecturer and another 3 years as principal lecturer disappear. It was not a challenge, it was an act of God. After assessing my publications, I was promoted to associate professor in 2021 and finally attained the rank of a full professor in 2024. At this point, I was reminded of Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." Looking back, and I understand that every step of my journey was divinely orchestrated. What I thought was a deviation was in fact a redirection towards a greater purpose. Today, as I stand before you, I do so not just as a professor, but as someone whose life has been transformed by the very field I once stumbled into. Thus, let us therefore embark on this journey together as we explore my academic contributions on how Nigeria can harvest prosperity through sustainable food economics, not just for today, but for the generations to come. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, it is with great honor that I stand before you to address the critical topic of food economics in Nigeria, particularly about supply, demand, pricing, and market structures. Food security is an essential pillar of economic stability, social welfare, and national security. The ability of any nation to feed its population is a direct consequence of its economic resilience, governance effectiveness, and overall development trajectory. Food economics in Nigeria is a critical aspect of the nation's agricultural sector, encompassing the production, distribution, and consumption of food. It examines the interplay between market structures, pricing mechanisms, and supply-demand dynamics that shape the economic sustainability of food systems. Nigeria, with a population of over 230 million people, according to Worldometer 2025, faces unique challenges in food economics, including fluctuating production levels, inflationary pressures, policy inconsistency, and market insufficiencies. The evolving structure of the food economy, characterized by subsistence farming and increasing agribusiness investment, requires empirical scrutiny to understand its impact on economic growth and food security. Recent literature highlights that Nigeria's food economy is significantly shaped by the external shocks, such as fluctuation in global economy, commodity price, climate change, and domestic policy dynamics. Barrett et al. 2019, Aturamu et al. 2021, ADELEKE et al. 2021. In addition, persistent market inefficiencies and structural constraints continue to fuel food price volatility and disrupt supply chains, according to Omosei et al. 2021, Odugbeson and Job 2021, Ojo et al. 2022. Together, these challenges pose serious threats to national and food security, job creation, and poverty reduction, underscoring the urgent need for a thorough and context-specific analysis of food economics in Nigeria. Evolution of agricultural practices and the economic implications in Nigeria. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the transformation of agricultural practices in Nigeria has been marked by significant economic shifts, policy interventions, and environmental challenges. Historically, agriculture in Nigeria was dominated by subsistence farming, where farmers primarily cultivated food crops such as yam, cassava, maize, millet, and so on for household consumption. However, the introduction of cash crops during the colonial era, particularly cocoa, oil palm, and groundnuts, signaled a shift towards commercial agriculture. This transition was driven by European demand for raw materials and facilitated by colonial policies that established marketing boards to regulate production and trade. 2020. Following Nigeria's independence in 1960, the government implemented a series of policies to enhance agricultural productivity and reduce food imports. The Green Revolution program of 1979 to 1983 aimed to modernize farming through mechanization, improve seed varieties, and irrigation projects. However, corruption, poor infrastructure, and inefficient resource allocation led to its failure resulting in continued dependence on food imports. Lokobiri 2019. The oil boom of the 1970s further exacerbated this decline as government revenues shifted focus from agriculture to crude oil exports. By the 1980s, food production was inadequate to meet the demands of Nigeria's growing population, leading to increased importation of staple foods such as rice and wheat. Caron et al. 2019. In order to address these challenges, the Structural Adjustment Program was introduced in 1986 under the guidance of the International Monetary Fund. SAP sought to liberalize the agricultural sector by reducing government intervention, eliminating food subsidies, and encouraging private sector investments. While these reforms improved market efficiency, they also led to a rise in production costs, making farming less profitable for smallholder farmers, but they were undeemable 2023. As a result, many farmers abandoned agricultural activities in favor of more lucrative non-agricultural jobs, further exacerbating food insecurity in the country. Sustainable food systems in Nigeria. Principles of sustainability. Sustainability in the food system refers to the ability to produce and distribute food in a way that meets present nutritional needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable food systems integrate environmental, economic, and social sustainability as key pillars to ensure long-term viability. In Nigeria, the shift towards sustainable agricultural practices has become imperative, driven by pressing challenges such as climate change, land degradation, biodiversity loss, and rising food insecurity. Aturamu et al. 2021, Iwadioha and Iwadioha 2024, Olutumishi et al. 2024. In response, both the government and the key agricultural stakeholders are increasingly promoting approaches like climate-smart agriculture, agroecology, and sustainable intensification as viable strategies to address these threats and build resilience within the food economy. Emena 2021, Aturamu et al. 2021, Olutumishi et al. 2024. Environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability in food systems focuses on minimizing negative impacts of agricultural activities on ecosystems. Agroforestry and conservation agriculture have been recommended as alternatives to slash and burn farming and monocropping systems, which degrade soil fertility and exacerbate climate vulnerability. Aturamu 2022. Economic sustainability. The economic sustainability of food system involves ensuring profitability for farmers, affordability for consumers, and resilience in food value chains. Sustainable economic models such as the value-added processing, cooperative farming, and contract farming have been proposed to ensure better returns for farmers and stabilize market prices. Olumu et al. 2020, Ijibade et al. 2021, Aturamu 2021, Oladoyin and Aturamu 2022. Social sustainability. Social sustainability ensures that food system promotes equity, inclusion, and community well-being. A sustainable food system in Nigeria should enhance rural livelihoods, support indigenous farming knowledge, and ensure fair labor practices. Despite contributing over 70% of agricultural labor, women farmers in Nigeria receive less than 20% of agricultural credit and extension services. Olabinjo and Opatola 2023. Policies that promote gender inclusive access to land, education, and financing are essential for a more equitable food systems. Olutumishi et al. 2023. Sustainable agricultural practices in Nigeria. Organic farming. Organic farming minimizes the use of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and genetically modified organisms while promoting natural soil fertility management and biodiversity conservation. There's also permaculture. Permaculture applies ecological principles to design self-sustaining agricultural systems that require minimal external inputs. And we have agroforestry, which involves integrating trees, crops, and livestock on the same farmland to optimize ecological benefits and productivity. Aturamu and Daramola 2024, Aturamu and Daramola 2007, Aturamu 2007, Aturamu 2022. This system enhances carbon sequestration, improves soil structure, and reduces wind erosion. Studies show that farmers practicing agroforestry in northern Nigeria experience 30 to 50% higher crop yields due to improved soil moisture retention. Babani et al. 2024. Agroforestry is particularly effective in countering desertification in the Sahel region, where over 60% of arable land faces degradation due to climate change. Aturamu 2022. Challenges and opportunities in sustainable food system. Despite its potentials, the adoption of sustainable agriculture in Nigeria is hindered by economic, technical, and institutional barriers. Farmers often lack the financial resources to transit from conventional to sustainable practices, and weak extension services limit knowledge dissemination. Additionally, policy inconsistencies such as fluctuating subsidies for agrochemicals and restrictive land tenure systems discourage long-term investment in sustainable agriculture. Aturamu 2022, Obe et al. 2024. However, emerging agri-tech innovations, blockchain-enabled supply chains, and carbon credit markets present new opportunities. Digital platforms like FarmCrowdy and TribeAgric are facilitating crowdfunding for sustainable farming projects, while the Nigerian government is exploring carbon credit incentives for agroforestry practitioners. LOLI 2021. Now, benefits of sustainable food systems in Nigeria. Sustainable food systems offer Nigeria numerous environmental, economic, and social benefits that are critical to ensuring long-term food security, ecological balance, and rural development. Environmental benefits include biodiversity preservation, improved soil health, and water conservation. For economic benefits, we have reduced costs, resilience to shocks, market and employment opportunities, and so on. For social benefits, enhanced food security, better public health, and rural empowerment are crucial. The economics of sustainable food production in Nigeria. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. Sustainable food production in Nigeria presents a complex economic landscape, balancing higher initial costs with long-term financial, environmental, and social benefits. The viability of sustainable agriculture depends on cost-benefit considerations, market dynamics, demand trends, and consumer behavior. Cost-benefit analysis of sustainable food production in Nigeria. The financial viability of sustainable agriculture hinges on the balance between higher upfront costs and long-term economic gains. Oladoyin and Aturamu 2022, Owoyemi and Aturamu 2022. Government policies supporting sustainable agriculture in Nigeria. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, over the years, the Nigerian government has introduced various policies aimed at improving agricultural productivity, enhancing food security, and encouraging sustainable practices. However, many of these policies have prioritized immediate economic gains over long-term sustainability. The Agricultural Promotion Policy, APP of 2016 to 2020, sought to reduce food imports and encourage domestic production, but its sustainability goals were often sidelined by the need to meet short-term production targets. Lokubiri 2019, Aturamu 2021. One of the most significant recent policy initiatives is the National Policy on Climate Smart Agriculture of 2021, which was developed to promote sustainable land use, soil conservation, and climate-resilient farming techniques. The policy outlines key strategies such as agroforestry, organic farming, and sustainable irrigation. Yet its implementation remains slow due to insufficient funding and a lack of technical training for farmers. Aturamu 2021, Aba et al. 2024. Despite these initiatives, contradictory policies have hampered sustainability efforts. The Nigerian government continues to heavily subsidize synthetic fertilizer, hybrid seeds, and large-scale mechanized farming, which often lead to soil degradation, water pollution, and biodiversity loss. Now, building on the discourse, my distinct contributions. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, having laid the groundwork through earlier discussions, I now turn to the specific ways in which my work contributes to and extends this body of knowledge: agroforestry, climate change, and environmental sustainability. In my academic journey, my research work has focused on agroforestry, climate change, and environmental sustainability. Sustainable food economics are critical to ensuring food security, economic resilience, and environmental conservation. Agroforestry, a farming system integrating trees with crops and livestock, plays a crucial role in addressing climate change, soil degradation, and land use efficiency. The adoption of agroforestry-based technologies has been identified as a sustainable strategy to mitigate food insecurity and enhance agricultural productivity. Following to be regression in the equation there, Aturamu 2022 examined the factors influencing agroforestry adoption among small-scale farmers, highlighting socioeconomic determinants, financial constraints, climate variability, policy recommendations, and market access challenges, with specific reference to Oyo State, Nigeria. The study conducted in Oyo State revealed that multiple socioeconomic factors influence the adoption of agroforestry-based technologies. The mean age of farmers was recorded at 49, with 87% of them being male and 92% primarily engaged in farming. The data further showed that 73% of the respondents cultivated farmlands of less than 2 hectares. Farmers with access to agricultural extension services, cooperative membership, and formal education demonstrated a higher tendency to adopt agroforestry. The results indicated that socioeconomic characteristics significantly influence both adoption probability and expected use intensity in agricultural practices. Age, farm size, household size, farm income and non-farm income negatively affected adoption and use intensity, suggesting that older farmers, larger households, and those without farm income were less likely to adopt agricultural innovations. Conversely, credit access, distance to input sources, cooperative membership, and farmer education positively impacted adoption and use intensity, highlighting their role in encouraging innovation. Government extension services and tenora status also showed modest positive effects, reinforcing the need for institutional support in agricultural decision-making. In a previous study by Aturamu and Daramola in 2005, using a simulation to recommend an agroforestry policy for Nigeria, it was affirmed that access to education and extension services significantly enhanced the probability of technology adoption. Despite the availability of agroforestry practices, financial limitations, and lack of awareness remain critical barriers, as noted by Aturamu and Daramola in 2005, and more recently, Aturamu 2022. The financial capacity of farmers play a pivotal role in the adoption of agroforestry. The study found that 40% of the sampled farmers lacked access to any form of credit, and only 1% had secured bank loans, with 21% accessing funds from cooperative societies. According to Aturamu and Daramola 2005 and Aturamu 2022, limited financial resources restrict farmers' ability to invest in new technologies, making credit availability a crucial determinant of adoption. Climate change and variability pose significant threats to agricultural sustainability. The study of Odutumishi et al. 2024 in their work, titled Unlocking Sustainable Agriculture, Climate Adaptation, Opportunity Costs and Net Revenue for Nigeria Cassava Farmers, reported that unpredictable rainfall patterns, soil degradation, and increased incidences of drought limit agricultural productivity in Nigeria. The study employed and modeled the Cobb-Douglas production function. Aturamu 2021 and Aturamu 2022 noted that agroforestry optimizes land use while ensuring long-term soil fertility and environmental protection. However, the report also indicated that despite these benefits, adoption remains low due to land tenure insecurity, lack of incentives, and minimal government interventions. Despite various government initiatives, the adoption rate of agroforestry remains suboptimal. Therefore, the report of Aturamu and Daramola 205, Aturamu 2021 and Aturamu 2022 suggests that targeted policies should be developed to promote agroforestry, including educational programs, financial incentives, and improved extension services. These studies emphasize the importance of policy frameworks that support sustainable farming practices. The studies also recommend that government agencies collaborate with non-governmental organizations and research institutions to scale up the implementation of agroforestry through demonstration farms and financial aid schemes, identify preferred agroforestry models suitable for different agroecological zones, can further enhance participation and economic viability. Agricultural productivity, efficiency, and economic analysis. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, agricultural productivity and efficiency are essential components of a sustainable food economy as they ensure food security, enhance economic growth, and improve rural livelihoods. My studies have explored different aspects of agricultural productivity, efficiency, and economic analysis, particularly in Nigeria, to identify key drivers and constraints affecting farm performance and sustainability. The studies by Aturamu, Fashui, and Ojumu 2018, and Fashui, Aturamu, and Lawa 2018, analyzed the economic viability of using high-fiber, low-protein industrial plant byproducts in broiler production. The findings indicated that alternative feed sources can significantly lower production costs while maintaining acceptable growth performance in both broiler starter and finisher birds. This research provided insights into reducing feed cost dependency, which constitutes a major expense in poultry farming, by demonstrating the financial benefits of utilizing agro-industrial byproducts. These studies contribute to sustainability of poultry production and overall food security. The study by Aturamu, Thompson, and Bankhead 2021 provided valuable insights into the intersection of climate variability, food production, and sustainability within Nigeria's agricultural economy. By analyzing 119 years of climate data from 1901 to 2019 and employing statistical methods such as probability density function, trend analysis, and change point analysis, the research highlighted significant shifts in rainfall patterns and temperature variations that influence yam yield in the Guinea savanna and rainforest agroecological zones. It revealed that access to markets, price volatility, and transportation costs significantly influence farmers' participation in formal agricultural markets. The research suggested that strengthening market linkages, improving transportation infrastructure, and providing financial support can enhance smallholder farmers' market access and economic stability. These findings underscore the need for policies that facilitate competitive market systems to ensure profitability and sustainability for smallholder farmers. Food security, poverty, and livelihoods. Food security, poverty alleviation, and sustainable livelihoods are essential for ensuring economic stability and social well-being, particularly among farming households. Many of my research examine these factors within the Nigerian agricultural landscape, focusing on the interconnection between health, poverty, microcredit access, irrigation farming, and coping strategies in the face of economic and environmental challenges. The study by Oparinde, Ogumbosi, Aturamu, and Oladipo in 2018 investigated the link between food crop farmers' health status and poverty in Ondo State, Nigeria. Findings suggested that poor health negatively impacts productivity, leading to lower income levels and increased vulnerability to food insecurity. The study emphasized that health challenges, including inadequate nutrition and high medical costs, exacerbate poverty among smallholder farmers. It recommended that government interventions should include access to affordable health care and nutrition programs to enhance the resilience of food crops programs. Adegoroye, Olutumishi, and Aturamu 2021 explored the determinants of food security status and coping mechanism among rural crops farming household in Ondo State. The research found that household size, income levels, access to credit, and agricultural extension services are significant factors influencing food security. Households with limited resources often adopt coping strategies such as reducing meal portions, relying on less nutritious food, and engaging in off-farm labor to supplement income. The study suggested that improving access to credit, market linkages, and agricultural extension services can enhance food security among rural farmers. The study conducted by Badamosi et al. 2023 examined the socio-economic impacts of flooding and coping strategies in Dagiri community, Abuja. The research revealed that recurrent flooding leads to significant loss of farmland, destruction of agricultural assets, displacement of households, and increased food prices. Coping strategies employed by affected farmers include migration, engagement in alternative income generating activities, and reliance on government aid. The study called for proactive flood management policies, including improved drainage systems and early warning mechanisms to mitigate the adverse effect of flooding on food production and rural livelihoods. Market analysis. Consumer behavior and value chains. Market analysis, consumer behavior, and value chain efficiency are essential in understanding how agricultural systems contribute to a sustainable food economy. By examining price variations, market participation, and consumer demand, my research has identified ways to improve market structures, stabilize food prices, and enhance economic opportunities for farmers and consumers alike. The study by IKERE-EKITI, Fashoranti, and Aturamu in 2013 investigated the effect of microcredit and training on the efficiency of small-scale entrepreneurs in Nigeria under the National Directorate of Employment loan training programs. The findings showed that access to financial resources and skill development significantly improved business efficiency, leading to better income stability and economic resilience. The study emphasized that microcredit, when combined with targeted training programs, enhances the sustainability of small enterprises and support food value chains by enabling entrepreneurs to engage in agricultural processing and distribution. Oparinde et al. 2020 explored the relationship between agricultural commercialization and food security among maize farmers in Akure South local government of Ondo State. The research revealed that increased commercialization improves income levels, but also exposes farmers to market risks such as price fluctuations and supply chain inefficiency. The study suggests that policies promoting structured market linkages and cooperative-based trade models can help mitigate risk while ensuring sustainable food production and distribution. Aturamu et al. 2021 analyzed price transmission and causality in rural and urban meat market in Ondo State. The findings indicated asymmetric price transmission where urban consumers bear higher costs while rural producers experience unstable income. The study highlighted the need for price stabilization mechanisms such as direct farm to consumer supply models and improved transportation networks to balance price fluctuations and enhance market fairness. The research by OLUYEDE and Aturamu in 2022 examined the conduct and profitability of marketers dealing with bush mango kernels in Ondo State, Nigeria. The study found that monopolistic tendencies and lack of standardized pricing reduce farmers' profit and consumer affordability. By improving regulatory frameworks and enhancing market transparency, the agricultural value chain can be optimized to ensure fair trade practices and better economic sustainability for rural farmers. Adoption of agricultural technologies and farm management. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the adoption of agricultural technologies and effective farm management practices play a crucial role in increasing productivity, enhancing food security, and ensuring sustainable farming systems. My research efforts are focused on understanding how technology adoption, input efficiency, and financial management influence agricultural outcomes vis-a-vis sustainable food production. The research conducted by OLUYEDE and Aturamu in 2020 explored the effects of adopting the improved cassava variety TME 419 on farmers' income and output in Ekiti State. A study found that farmers who adopted TME 419 experienced a significant increase in yield and income due to varieties' higher disease resistance and productivity potential. Similarly, OLUYEDE and Aturamu in 2020 assessed the overall adoption rate of TME 419, identify key factors such as access to extension services, land availability, and financial constraints as major determinants of adoption. These findings emphasize the need for government and agricultural agencies to enhance awareness and support mechanisms to promote wider adoption of improved cassava varieties. Aturamu, Ezekiel, and Akombi 2021 investigated how the adoption of ICT tools influences the profitability of poultry enterprises in Ibadan metropolis of Oyo State. Our findings indicated that ICT adoption, such as the use of mobile apps, digital marketing platforms, and automated farm management systems, enhances operational efficiency, reduces production costs, and improves market access. Farmers who integrate ICT into their poultry businesses report better decision-making capabilities and increased profit. The study recommended policies to promote digital literacy among farmers and the development of affordable agricultural ICT solutions. Similarly, the cost and returns analysis of cucumber production in Oyo State by OLUYEDE and Aturamu 2022 assessed the profitability of cucumber farming. The study found that cucumber farming is a viable agribusiness, with farmers achieving high returns on investment when efficient production practices are employed. Conclusions and recommendations. Conclusion. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the discourse on sustainable food economics in Nigeria has underscored the critical intersection of agriculture, economic policies, environmental sustainability, and food security, giving Nigeria's growing population, climate vulnerability, and economic transitions. A sustainable food system is no longer an option, but a necessity. This lecture has explored the historical evolution of food economics in Nigeria, the principles and benefits of sustainability, sustainability, the economic dimensions of sustainable food production, and the role of innovation, investment, and collaboration in driving long-term progress. Studies on sustainable food systems in Nigeria emphasize the urgent need for a holistic approach that balances environmental, economic, and social dimensions. Collaboration among key stakeholders, government agencies, private sector players, NGOs, and academic institutions remain a fundamental driver of success. Expanding such collaborative efforts will be essential in scaling sustainable food systems nationwide. Looking ahead, the future of sustainable food economies in Nigeria hinges on strategic investment in research and development, policy coherence, and infrastructure improvements. Recommendations, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. To achieve a sustainable food economy, Nigeria must adopt a well-coordinated, inclusive agricultural policy that prioritizes environmental sustainability and economic equity. Key among the recommendations is the restructuring of agricultural subsidies. Reforming the outdated Land Use Act is also crucial, especially to secure land rights for smallholder farmers, which will incentivize sustainable land use. Investment in agricultural research and extension services is essential. Emphasis should be placed on climate adaptation, soil health, and biodiversity, with strong collaboration between universities, development agencies, and startups. On the farm level, practices such as integrated soil fertility management, water conservation, for example, drip irrigation, and agroforestry should be maintained, to be mainstreamed. Digital tools such as mobile-based agricultural platforms and blockchain for traceability must be promoted to enhance productivity and market access. Call to action. The shift to sustainability requires collective effort. Government must prioritize green investment and policy reforms. Farmers and agribusinesses should adopt climate-smart, tech-enabled practices Consumers must support local and eco-friendly food systems. Academic institutions must drive innovations and knowledge sharing. Ultimately, building a resilient and sustainable food economy in Nigeria hinges on collaboration, transparency, and a shared commitment to environmental and social well-being. Acknowledgements. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, with profound humility and gratitude, I begin by acknowledging the Almighty God, the source of life, wisdom, and strength. His divine grace has guided me through every phase of my academic and professional journey. Through challenges and triumphs, his unwavering faithfulness has been my anchor. And for this, I return all glory to him. As it is written in Proverbs 3:5 and 6, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Indeed, my journey has been a testament to his guidance and unfailing love. My academic journey has been shaped by the guidance, wisdom, and sacrifices of several remarkable individuals. I pay special tribute to my late mentor, Professor B. Daramola, former Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Tech, Akure. His impact on my life is immeasurable. He was not only my undergraduate lecturer in farm management, but also supervised my PhD research, ensuring that I successfully completed it in 2003. His intellectual rigor, mentorship, and encouragement laid the foundation for my academic success. His passing is a great loss to the academic community, but his legacy lives on in those of us he mentored. I also remember with great respect and admiration Professor Valentine Ayobore Aleto, of blessed memory, a distinguished scholar whose contributions to animal biochemistry and nutrition, as well as mentorship of students, remain an enduring legacy. His intellectual guidance and dedication to academic excellence were truly inspiring. I remember when Professor Aleto prophesied in 1988 that, Atu, you can't run away from academics. And I quietly said, God forbid. We now all know who was right and who was wrong. I use a highly revered retired Professor Venerable Olasende as a point of contact for my other lecturers at undergraduate level. That small boy of yesterday, who could barely address a class of 20, is standing here delivering his inaugural lecture. My sincere appreciation is extended to my other lecturers in FUTA, who play their crucial roles in shaping my academic pursuits. To my lecturers in UI, Professor J.K. Olayemi, Professor Atobatele, Professor Kinwumi, and so on, I'm grateful. I'm particularly grateful to Professor Folusho Okumadewa, my senior examiner for my PhD, whose insightful contributions and scholarly critiques refined my research and strengthened my intellectual development. No achievement is ever complete without the love, sacrifice, and encouragement of family. I owe an unquantifiable debt of gratitude to my parents, Chief Emmanuel Adeleke Aturamu of blessed memory, and Deaconess Gesolufumike Aturamu, who is right here with us, whose unwavering belief in the power of education and their sacrifices laid the foundation for my success. Their moral guidance, prayers, and dedication remain a source of inspiration in my life. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to my father-in-law, Chief Samuel Okedaramola of blessed memory, and my mother-in-law, who is also seated here, Chief Mrs. Florence Adebisi Daramola, whose support and prayers have been invaluable. I acknowledge my uncles, CP Biola Aturamu retired of blessed memory, Dr. Ayode Aturamu, Elder Babatokwe Fadogba, CSP Elijah Oluwashola, Alaji Roko Olabi, Alaji Gani Olabi, and their spouses, whose encouragement have been instrumental to my journey. My aunties, including Chief Mrs. Adunyomoto Imbu and so on, their spouses and others, have also played pivotal roles in my life. I cherish my cousins, their spouses, especially Dr. Roland Dele Agbede, retired Admiral Kehinde Komolafe and his wife, Mrs. Bimbo Komolafe, and so on, for their love. I say a very big thank you. To my siblings, Mrs. Olukemi Ojo, Mrs. Oluklope Afolalu, whose husband is here, Otumba. I want to say a big thank you to you. Builder Pastor Adeni Aturamu, Professor Adeyinka Aturamu, and Mrs. Folashade IKERE-EKITI, and their spouses and children. I deeply appreciate your love and support. Thank you for your endless love, understanding, and support. I want to especially thank my wife's twin sister, Mrs. Taiwo Adedoyin, and her husband, my twin brother, Dr. Dele Adedoyin. I deeply appreciate my brother-in-law, Mr. Kayode Daramola Daragba, and remember with fondness my pali, Tunde Daramola Forgone Terror, Daramson of blessed memory. My thoughts are with his wife, Mrs. Foluke Tunde Daramola, and children. I also honor Tumbabola Shijuade of blessed memory and extend my gratitude to his wife, Mrs. Shade Shijuade Sishade, and their children, Dr. Ayomide and Miss Ayotilewa. To Ashiwaju Okpedaramola and his very beautiful wife, Funke, I say a big thank you. I wish to specially recognize Dr. Adewale Olutumishi and his team for their exceptional support and contribution. And now to my senior colleagues in the university system, the mentorship and wisdom of senior colleagues are often the pillars that hold up emerging scholars. I extend my gratitude to my senior colleagues, including Professor J. Fuakwe, Professor Aye Ajibefun, Professor Iti Oladiji, and so on. To my FUTA 1988 set, APH, old classmates become lifelong comrades. To my classmates from 1988 set, Professor Gbenga Onibi, Professor Francis Igbason, VC Mafasin University, Professor Job Akpodiete, Mr. Oluwole Ojo, and so on. Our bond has grown stronger through time. Thank you for staying connected and for always lifting one another. My University of Ibadan MSc Agricultural Economics 1991 classmates, Senator Kashim Shettima, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemisi Arowo-Shoge, Professor Okwe Adewole of blessed memory, Mr. Wale Francis, Mr. Shegun Oladipo, among others, remains a distinguished circle of professionals whose scholarship and individual journeys continue to inspire me. I deeply appreciate the invaluable support and camaraderie of my esteemed colleagues, including Dr. Lawrence Oparinde, Dr. Olaniyi Thompson, Dr. Olaniyi Ojo, Dr. F.O.T. Obashui, and so on, for their love. Your support, friendship, and shared pursuit of excellence have made this journey worthwhile. I appreciate every one of you. And my former students, I'm immensely proud of the professional accomplishments of my former students. Professor Olushola Olatubosulonge of the Faculty of Agric in EXU, Professor Bolaji Grace Abiono, Dr. Kehinde Oluseye Ogunjimi, Dr. Olorunfemi Olushola, and so on, who have not only distinguished themselves in their respective fields, but have also continued to uphold the values of academic excellence and integrity. Watching them evolve from eager learners to respected scholars have been one of the most rewarding aspects of my academic journeys. The support of my university community has been crucial, not only to today's celebration, but to my progress. I express my deep gratitude to Professor Patrick Oladipo, Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council, Buesti, along with other distinguished members of the Buesti Governing Council. A very special acknowledgement goes to my Vice Chancellor. Can you please let me clap for my Vice Chancellor? Thank you very much, Professor Olufemi Victor Adeolua, who not only promoted me to the exalted rank of professor, but also nominated me as Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Research. Without this angel in human flesh, I will not be here today delivering my inaugural lecture. I appreciate Professor Ebitola Makinde, former Deputy Vice Chancellor, my brother Deputy Vice Chancellor, Development, Professor Joseph Ekiro, as well as other principal officers, the Registrar, Mrs. Adenike Adeusi, the Bossa, Dr. Babatunde Akpata, the University Librarian, Dr. Mrs. Aderunke Adekumisi. I must also thank our Provost, Professor M.S. Akoni, Professor J. Adegun, Professor Joe Faluyi, and Professor O. Orie. I also honor the memories of Professor Adenika Adeyemi, Professor Kiara Adeboye, and Professor Francisca Aladejano. Professor Francisca Aladejano was the provost who first appointed me as deputy provost in the defunct College of Education, IKERE-EKITI, while Professor Mojisola Yarikwa gave me a second term as deputy provost under our able pro-chancellor and chairman of council, Professor Babatope Alo. I appreciate you all. I fondly remember Mr. Gwenga Ojo of blessed memory, who served as registrar during my tenure as deputy provost in the defunct College of Education. I also acknowledge the support of Mr. Kayode Ige, the Bossa at the time, Mr. Alberto Tutu, the Director of Works, the University Librarian, Mr. Yoarugundade, whose dedication and professionalism were instrumental in our collective success. I would like to thank Professor L.B. Kolawole, Professor Ibiyinka Ogunlade, Professor Iwaya Aderibibe, Professor Kiyo Olorutegbe, Professor Ibi Kolawole, Professor Benga Ribisala, Professor Olushola Eleka, Professor O Ata, Professor P.O. Oladele, Professor M. Oluwakumukomi, and so on, and to my alumni associations. I extend my gratitude to my alma maters, starting from Goluji Grammar School, Oluji, Old Student Association, especially the class of 1981, Federal School of Art and Science, Ondo, class of 1982, FUTA alumni worldwide. I can see my president seated right there. I want to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you very much, President Bello. And to Rotary International. I extend my appreciation to Rotarians the world over, especially those in District 9126, under the leadership of District Governor Ken Funkeapo Batife. Special recognition also goes to past District Governor Kayode Olowolaga and my President, Rotary Angbadebo Oyewo. I want to specially recognize the PDS, Dayo Motoimbo, and members of Rotary Club of Akure, and to my friends and network. I deeply appreciate your unwavering support and encouragement. Permit me to use the following people as a point of contact for others. Professor Deji Fashui, PDF, Mr. Dele Fashui, Otumabolu Diafolalu, Sashe Moribadejo, Mr. Shegun Olushiri, Professor Sami Yahi, Mr. Dakwatere, Brigadier General Obasi, Dr. Uchenwa Shuku, and so on. I thank you so much. And to my spiritual parents. I have quite a number of them, but I'll just mention a few. Bishop Felix and Bishop Funke Adejumo, Reverend Dr. and Reverend Mrs. Kayode and Helen Aide, Pastor Ayo Apata, Daddy Gabriel Latujupopola, and so on. I want to say a very big thank you to you and to my nuclear family. To my dear son, Oluwatobiloba Aturamu, T-boy, it can only be God, and it has been God all through. Your life is a constant reminder of God's grace and faithfulness. To my darling wife, Mrs. Kennedy Aturamu, you have been my rock, my confidant, and my greatest supporter. Your love, patience, and sacrifices have sustained me through the many years of academic rigor and professional responsibilities. Thank you for being there for us. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, ladies and gentlemen, this moment is not just a celebration of my achievement, but a testament to the collective efforts of all who have walked this path with me. To everyone who has contributed in one way or the other, like my pastors, my colleagues, my students, especially Department of Agri-Science and Technology, and the school and college, I want to say a big thank you to you. And to everyone who has contributed in one way or another, pastors, colleagues, students, family, friends, and well-wishers, I say a very big thank you. Psalm 126 verse 1 beautifully captures my story. When the Lord turned away the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dream. Mr. Vice Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, he has done so much for me. I can't tell it all.
I cannot tell it all.
Thank you very much for listening. God bless you all.
Ẹtì.